We hope you're loving Glasgow Business Stories. So if you are, please do us a favour and subscribe. New episodes drop every 2 weeks, and we want you to hear all the wonderful stories from the businesses here in Glasgow. So please subscribe now. Okay, Frank, Karen, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming along.
Not at all. Thanks for asking us.
So we're interested to hear all about your business journey and how you've gotten to where you are at the moment. So do you want to start from wherever you want to start and help us understand what you do?
Okay, well, do you want to go first or shall I go?
You fire away.
Knew that was going to happen. Basically, it started, early 90s.
Yeah.
Frank was supposed to be going to college to start a course, and he was going to be a PE teacher, and then he was going to graduate, do that for a couple of years, and we're having a chain of gyms. August before college started, somebody says, I've got an opportunity here. You can come and do 714 CIS, mega money. College put out the window. He went and started to earn some money, 714, subcontracting, and it just gradually went from there because that was kind of self-employed at that point. So then you think, right, okay, we can do it ourselves, start up a business, and started from there, started small, and then just started to grow.
So what stage did you move from a subcontractor to a business owner then?
Well, it was probably about 3 or 4 years after that when Strathclyde region broke up into different councils. North Ayrshire, South Ayrshire, Glasgow City Council. And a lot of people we knew moved away into these councils, and we kept in contact with them. And they says, well, get yourself an office and we can start putting work your way. Because at that time you didn't have to be on lists or anything. You had an office address, you had a company name, VAT registered, then they then put us onto the list. So we got onto 3 or 4 lists. A few years after that, the first one was South Ayrshire Council. We applied for it, won the term maintenance, and then that got the ball rolling.
So just something that kind of fell into rather than want to be a business owner?
Yeah. Well, we did chase it a wee bit. We did chase the guys for a wee while to get on there, because when these guys moved to different councils, the guys that were in those areas had their own contractors. So we did push a wee bit, and we eventually got a chance, and we took the chance and started giving them they liked what we did, as in the work that we did. We did it well. They knew we were doing everything professionally, health and safety wise, things like that, which is a big part of it. And then when we won the term maintenance, then they were happy we got it. So it worked out quite well.
And when you talk about you're a couple in real life as well as in business.
Yeah, we're married.
Yeah. You're married.
Yes.
And so was that, back when you started, was that a joint decision? Were you together then?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
We were a couple then. I didn't actually work with Frank. I didn't come into the business until the year 2000.
Well, you did, because you did a lot of estimates and quotes and things at night time.
Yeah, not officially. Don't think I ever get paid for that, actually.
And how's that as a dynamic then, working together and obviously being married?
It's okay because we do totally different things in the business. I deal finance, admin, Frank, prices jobs every single day. That's what he says he's doing every single day. Deals with the men, deals with the customers. So there's not a lot of crossover in what we actually do. Maybe if he says, can we buy such and such? And say yes or a no. You need to wait a bit, yourselves, deal with cash flow, things like that. But it was the year 2000, we had just had our first child, Vari. She's obviously 25 now. And the business I was in, it was sales. And they said, are you coming back? I said, yeah, but ideally I would like to do part-time. Yeah, that's okay, we'll look at that. And I got a list of my duties. And I said, all right, okay, what did you do? Ask everyone in the office what they don't like about their job. Because that was my list of duties, because I knew it, nobody liked their job. And then at that point, he says, well, why don't you just come in with us? And obviously, we don't need to pay anyone else. The money's all going into the same household. And it's just grown from there. So I've been there for 25 years.
Did that feel like a risk at the time, putting all your eggs in one basket compared to, this?
I think we were a bit naive and...
We're still young at the time, so we didn't even look at things like that, It was mainly a case of let's just get in and work at it and see where it goes, I was a roofer to trade anyway, so it was a case of I had to go out and work, which I did at the start anyway. then it wouldn't be a problem if I had to just go and get a van again and then start again, and that was it. But that didn't happen, you know, so it started to grow arms and legs quite quickly.
I think the process was always, if it doesn't work out, we'll just get jobs.
Yeah.
But give it a try, and we're still here.
Don't worry about what might happen.
Yeah, there's been some times, obviously, in the beginning, when, as I touched on it before, like cash flow, you've got to make sure there's money in, you've got to pay the guys. They all get paid before you. Nobody realises this. Everybody thinks, well, you've got your own business, you're great, it's great, you can do what you want, you don't need to get in, you don't need to work 24/7, but it can become your life, can't it?
Yeah.
Is your background finance, or did you have to learn all about cash flow and forecasting?
I always did kind of bookkeeping and things like that, but it was sales prior to that. I'd done bookkeeping, then sales, and then I had an accounts O-level, which was a long time ago for people that don't know what O-levels are. And you just learn on the job.
And as the business grew then, how easy was it for you to get off the tools? Was that a plan you made that you wanted to be off by a certain time?
Well, the plan was, it was always a case of when we got the term maintenance contract, then we had to bring guys in, which we did. There was a lot of guys out there who worked out that knew we could bring in, that were good tradesmen. So we got in touch with them, we got them in, we get good guys in. We started to grow the plant we had, more vans, more bodies, and that was a big step, because at that time we had to make sure we had the money behind us as well, and we did that. And as I say, we get busier and busier, but the main thing was that we just kept the client base that we had and grew that. But it was always a worry, because it was always, at that time, you weren't always getting the money in as quick. So, as Karen says, we were always last to get paid, but that was just part of the job. We get by, and then as we grew it, we get more customers, more clients, then through word of mouth as well, we started to grow it and started getting more money behind us. That was a big thing.
And was there ever a marketing plan, or was it really referral work coming in?
No, I wouldn't say there was a marketing plan until we went obviously to get an overdraft for the bank, and then we had to have something there, and that was the first time we ever put something down on paper. And we had good bank managers then. At that time you'd deal with the manager face to face. You go and see them, you could pick up the phone to them at any time. You'd socialise with them in the golf course and things, and I think that was when, as I say, you could speak to people. You could pick up the phone and speak to anyone, you know, and we still deal that way, face to face with people. We try to do that as much as possible, because we're still old school, and that's how we built the business. If there's a problem, you pick up the phone and speak to someone. You don't need to write it in an email. You pick up on the phone, speak to them first, and then if you know what to follow that up with an email, then you do it. You know, so that's the way we've always tried to work.
People buy from people at the end of the day, don't they? So
that's it. And you've got to be honest with people in business as well. You can't turn around and say to someone, no, the guys didn't do that when this did happen. You know, you've got to be upfront, because they always find you out, you know. And the one thing is, we tell our guys, always be honest. If you've done something, tell us, we'll sort it. Everything could be fixed, you know, and that's the way we've always done it.
How easy is that to implement? You know, it's easy to say, but it's
easy to say, but it happens. I mean, many a time I've told someone we'll be there tomorrow morning. I've sent the guys elsewhere because it's just run out of my head, and the guy phones me up, where's your men? Sorry, I've sent them elsewhere. I'll get them there, I'll get them on the phone just now, and I do that. I just phone the guys up and say, listen, I've made a mistake, you need to go here. So you tell them there and then, and you fix it, you know. If you turn around and tell them the truth, then what they're going to say?
Yeah.
Tell them a lie, they're going to find you out, and it's going to be worse, you know, we'll get another job off them.
Absolutely.
So that's the easiest way, and that's the way we've always dealt with it, you know. And the guys know that as well, because we've got all good guys that work for us. They all turn up, they're there on a Monday morning, and that's all we're looking for, and to give an honest week's work.
So that's not always the case in trades-based businesses. What's different to the team you've built to maybe what you see in some other trades businesses?
The guys we brought in, we tell them all at the start. We've got a system, we bring them in, we induct them, and if, you know, within the week, well, these guys are going to be good for the company, you know. Just because we'll ask them questions to do with the trade, to do with everything, the lifestyle, and if we don't see that from them, then we can't really have them in the company. They'll be there for a few weeks trial, and we'll do our best to keep guys, but they've got to be right for the company. And most of the guys have been with us now for about 16 years, you know. So,
And so, go on then, what does right for the company mean?
well, it just means that they're doing it as our procedures. The first thing is they come in the door, it's health and safety. If they're not abiding by our health and safety rules, then it's a waste of time being there, because it all comes back to myself, you know. I'm the man at the top of the tree, so it's me, the health and safety will come to first. It won't be them, you know. So health and safety is the first and foremost within the company. They go into a site and they got to abide by your RAMs. Everything that's there, that's what they've got to go by. And as soon as they divert from there, then it's a no-no for us.
And your RAMs?
RAMs, risk assessments, method statements, all that. And we spend time to write all these out for them for each job. So they've got to go by that. That's their Bible. And if they don't do it, if they make a phone call to us saying, well, we see this different, well, as long as they mark it down in that bit of paper, then that's fine. And then we'll go to site and check it and sign it off. So they've got to do that first and foremost, because we don't want them to come to the work and not going home at night. Touch wood, it's never happened, so we don't want it to happen. We want to follow the way it's been.
How hard is it to get people, to bring new people in? Do you know?
It's very hard.
Very difficult.
Very hard at the moment.
Very difficult.
We've had, in the last 5 years, we've put 7 apprentices through, between mature apprentices and young boys. And we've got another 3 starting college this August. So we're one of the companies in Scotland. There's a big push on at the moment, and there's a lot of roofing companies in Scotland. We've had meetings and trying to push between the Scottish Government, Westminster, through the NFRC, try to push to get young kids into construction, not just roofing, the whole of the construction industry, because it's short on skilled workers in the construction industry. A lot of kids nowadays want to get onto computer programs, be influencers, be this, be that. I couldn't tell you where to start on it, but a lot of young kids do. But there's a lot of kids out there can turn their hand to a trade quite easily. And there's a lot of people out there, companies like mine, that want to bring young kids in and help them. We went to a few schools of late, and we've put it out there, but you're not getting a lot of people. But there's still a lot of times that companies, big companies that have got the money, they're going to schools as well, and they're setting up pods and showing them how the roofing could be done, showing how it could be suitable to them. And it's more and more about teaching them and what they can make. They can make a good living at the roofing industry or any construction industry.
It's also a big investment for you at the outset to take someone that's a school leaver that's got no past experience to actually get them up to the level that they need to operate at.
Yeah, well, it's a 3-year course, you know. They're away 13 weeks a year from the company, which they're still getting paid for. When you go to college, they learn the theory part of it, and then they come back to the office and work with the guys, then they're getting the practical. And the main thing is on site, learning about from the health and safety up to how to fit in a roof. And once the guys get that and they like it, then they're working with good people. A lot of our staff are all older, from 40 up to the late 60s. So they've been with us for a long time, good tradesmen, they know the trade. So they're learning from the best. And I'm not being biased there, to be honest with you. The guys are good tradesmen, so these kids are coming in to learn from guys that have been in the trade for a long, long time.
I suppose the good thing about that as well is that they're not going to put up with any nonsense. So if someone's not up to the standard, they'll let you know straight away.
They'll instantly.
And if they do something wrong, it's easy fixed, you know. You just take it off again and then give them another go at it. You know, it's all time, and as a company, we've got to give them the time to flourish. You know, so.
But if they've not got that right, you know, you're saying they're not the right attitude or they're not the right, then the older guys will be, hold on,
They're not
That's
right
not gonna
fit. They're not
fit.
gonna- I think they can tell very, very quickly.
They can, but we try to teach them, they'll get a good living. If they don't like the roofing, then go and try joinery, try steelwork. There's loads of things out there they could try until they get a good fit for themselves. We wouldn't want to just say to them, oh, away you go, we'd help them apply for another course, get another company, whether it be a joinery company, a fit-out company, whatever it may be. We'd try and help them because there's not enough people going into construction, and that's part of the problem.
It sounds then you've built, I don't know whether you've knowingly built or it's happened because of just how you are, a really good culture. If you've got the senior guys been able to check out the more junior apprentices.
I would like to think so, but I think a lot of it's got to do with the fact that they're all PAYE, so they're on the payroll. They're not guys that are just subbies, which there's a market out there for subcontractors, but there's a bit more loyalty, I think, if they're on the payroll, aren't they? Because they are part of the Faskin Group, as you would say. The older ones, there is a big age gap, isn't there, between some of them. So that's what not you personally, but the industry are trying to fill now, because obviously there wasn't a lot of investment in apprenticeships. I think it was a bit dismissed probably about 15, 20 years ago, wasn't it? It wasn't encouraged. Kids weren't really encouraged to go into apprenticeships, and then I think they started the modern apprenticeship. It seems to be working okay just now for us, but 3 is great, and we're like, that's fantastic, we're going to have 3 boys that are going through the programme, but you're also losing 3 bodies for 13 weeks of the year, so you've not got them. Because we spoke about it yesterday. I says ideally you could take on a couple more, but you can't afford to lose 4 or 5 members of staff for a quarter of the year.
But to train them as well, so it takes up resource from the existing team. There's an investment there.
That's it. That's where I think governments have got to look at the construction industry and help it. They're looking at different avenues to help it, and some of the biggest avenue for me is they need to get young kids into apprenticeships. If they do that, then they're halfway there. And if these kids work at it, then they can go out on their own, go and try it on their own, build a business. That's what I did. Started with ITS, £35 a week, way back in the day. I won't tell you many years ago it was. But no, I enjoyed it, I loved it. Just getting a trade at the end of it. It was the first time I ever listened to my dad. He says, come back down the road and get a trade. Because I was up at Dundee playing football at the time. And I was away for my friends and everything else. And I phoned my dad and he says, no, just tell him no, maybe next time. But because he offered me a YTS up there. And I says, no. And he says, come down and get a trade and still play football with your friends, and then you might get picked up elsewhere. And that's what I did. And I've not looked back since then, to be honest with you.
No regrets from not becoming a PE teacher then?
No, definitely not.
And what's been most difficult, would you say, in terms of growing your business?
Getting staff.
Getting staff to do it. It gets harder and harder because there's a lot of people in roofing, and then they come away from it and then maybe come back into it. But most people just because of the weather we get in Scotland, it's great in the summer if we get a summer. But in the winter, it's a cold, dark, you're getting damp and wet, you're down your knees, you're, as I say, up on roofs, the worst of weather. So that's maybe the hard part of it, where kids are built for it now, but you get some of them, but it's very hard to get those kids that want to stick it.
Try and start them in January and things like that, don't you? Because it's a miserable time, and if they get through January to March, you're like, right, okay, there's a fair chance they're going to be here. We wouldn't want to start them in May when it's the best month of the year, and they think, oh wow, this is fantastic.
I guess there's also that, if you've got that standard of what you want or what you expect, you could bring someone in and they might not live up to it. It'd be easy just to keep them in if you're so desperate staff, but then that has an impact on your existing staff. So actually, you've got to kind of maintain that standard. Definitely. Even though it's kind of not making it harder, but there's less of a talent pool to pick from, as it were. But
as I say, you've got to keep the guys happy. That's the main thing. Guys, they've got to be happy coming to their work, We try as much as possible to do that. And it's about, you keep them happy, they'll keep there and they'll keep working hard, they'll keep doing the jobs to have a bit of pride in their work. And that's the main thing nowadays. Finish a job off, look at it and say, aye, that looks good. We're happy to hand that over, you know. And if there's a wee thing that's wrong with it, we fix it. We go and fix it. We make sure that's right before the client sees it, and before the client comes up and notices it. And that's what we're about. We'll check it before it gets passed. And if it's not to our standard, right, no, we fix this wee bit, fix that wee bit. And it's about keeping standards. And if we keep the standards, then it'll work from us all the way down, from our tradesmen to our labourers to our apprentices, for them all, you know.
And you started then 2000-ish, 2002, and then was that Faskin, or was that a separate?
Well, there is a story there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started. It was a limited company, but you're in partnership with someone else, and eventually it came to the stage that it wasn't working out. Personally, it was miserable in the house, wasn't it? You were bringing the bad mood home, and it wasn't very good at all.
2 young kids as well at the time, you know.
At one point, we just said, "This has got to stop," and the only way it was going to finish was you had to leave the original business, which you did, and we started this one in 2013, Faskin Group Limited. The other one was Faskin Contracts Roofing Limited. Faskin comes from the street name of where we had our first flat.
Yeah.
So
Faskin Road in Crookston.
When we left the original business, we had to protect the name, IP or something. Mm-hmm. So we had to go through the process of all that because it got a bit, wasn't very nice. It was probably an acrimonious divorce, to be honest. It wasn't very nice at all. Yeah. But we walked away, and it wasn't easy at the start, but it was probably the best thing that ever done.
Aye.
So
as I say, a lot of guys came with us, but as I say, it took a few weeks, step back, and then I had a plan to go where we were going to go with it.
I take it that was quite a successful business, and it's
very
right at that point,
successful.
so it must be quite hard to then step away from it as well, because you're going, well,
it was gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
Even though it's a toxic relationship, it's still like, it's still...
It was a very successful business at that time we left. And then people were very surprised, because they didn't know what was happening inside the company and whatever else. So it was just a case of, to keep our own sanity, we had to just step back. I resigned as a director, and then a few months later we started this company. And
did you do anything differently from the outset, or was it just the fact that you had to control yourselves and it was you're the masters of your own destiny?
Yeah.
As we said, any problems are now our problems. You've not got the problem with someone else who's not actually pulling their weight. Mm-hmm. At least it's all on your shoulders, and it's only you that can deal with it. You're not relying on anyone else.
It was tough, but we had to build a new business up, and we still had some clients that wanted to come with me. And I says, well, that's up to you. I says, but any ones that were under contract we couldn't do until those contracts were up and they came back out again. So from there, we just spoke to people who were getting work from elsewhere. Work it wasn't from, it was new clients, which we brought in, and we did at that time again, we were still speaking to the same bank manager. They were very good, and also I knew someone in the banking game who set up an account with a different bank, and from there we just started going and started. I was going to say, how did you
finance that initial stages? Because you're obviously then starting from scratch again. Did you
ourselves?
Financed it
ourselves, yeah. Because at that time, in the early 2000s, 2012, 13, there wasn't a lot of money that the banks were giving unless you had a lot of money behind you, a lot of contracts behind you, which we didn't have. So what happened is we were financing it ourselves until we got to a stage where the banks went, right, okay, but even to this day we didn't take an overdraft, did we? So
no, I think we always had we had it in our head that we had enough money to kind of go 6 months.
Yeah, that's right.
Aye.
And then
once we started building,
you wouldn't even get a job.
I like how you said him, not you.
Aye, so now we've not looked back. It's been good. It was hard at the start.
Would you say you had any lucky moments in business? Is there any luck befalling you during your journey?
I think luck is what you work for, and we've worked very hard throughout the last 35 years in business, and every job we win, we're grateful for it, because it's coming from clients, coming from new clients. You get a new client, one you win, you go, oh, that's great, and then you go, oh, have I priced that? I need to look at that again. But I don't know.
I don't know so much about luck. I think when you left the other business and people were on the phone to you saying, "Oh, right, okay, you've got our support. We'll give you credit accounts. We'll give you work. This, that, the next thing." It was a boost, wasn't it? Because at that point, you never told anyone that you were doing it, because obviously you don't want it to get out there. So it was basically an email went out saying Frank O'Hara has left the business. Then the phone started going. And then like that, people come on and says, right, okay, we'll do this for you, we'll do that for you. And we felt very lucky then, the fact that you had built up a relationship with an awful lot of people that were willing to support you when you had nothing.
I say at that time, I did feel very lucky at that time, and you don't realise how many friends you've got in business until you leave a business, and then they come and they support you from there.
I guess that's because of the relationships, maybe unknowingly, you've been building over the last however many years.
But you don't really appreciate that until you need these
moments
people,
like that,
you know? And I feel that's probably a lucky thing, you know, where it is lucky or where it's not, but I don't know.
They say you might have felt lucky, but it's the hard work and the jobs
before.
that you're delivering before that you know, maybe people go, I can trust it. I can invest in you because they know
I think that was what it was. They come back and said that they still wanted to deal with you as opposed to the business. It was you that they dealt with, and that's what they wanted to continue.
As you say, people deal with people, you know.
And have you got loyal customers? I know your staff are very loyal by the sounds of things. Is it the same with your customer base because of the levels of service you give them?
It is, yes. So, Aye. The customers are loyal. They come back to us all the time, you know. We could be pricing against 4 other contractors or whatever, and if we win it, then they know who they're getting, they know what they're getting. So a lot of times when it's a bigger job, you're pricing maybe against 4 or 5 other contractors who are good contractors that are approved in the same systems as you. So they know they're going to get a good job anyway. But they still, if we win it, if we've priced or maybe done 3 or 4 jobs, and then they're happy that they've got us, and they know what they're getting. And if they're getting the same supervisor on that job or whatever, it keeps them happy as well, because they're dealing with the same people. You know.
Yeah, so, to the point we've got one boy that actually was raining in one of the jobs that we're on, and so he was just sitting in the staff room having tea and biscuits with the teachers. And it's David that they call and ask for.
Really?
Yeah. Which is what we want, because they deal with him on site. If there's any problems, I wouldn't say problems. I think they can iron out anything that there's an issue with David. So therefore yourself and Alec don't really need to deal with anything, which is
on site, and that's
what you're looking for.
They've got his number, they'll contact him, and all his jobs go well, and there's never any problems because he's sitting drinking tea and coffee with him.
Maybe bleep David's name out. I don't want him getting a big head.
And is that something that you kind of designed, that you were saying, actually I want someone else to be the first person, or was it, you know, quite often we see business owners where it's just like, because it is them that have the relationships, they then become the main protocol and become the bottleneck for growth.
Well, that's the problem that we're at just now, because it's Frank and Alec that are the first point of call for nearly everyone, whereas they want to be standing back and have a middle management team, as you would say. But that goes back to trying to get personnel, and it's so difficult.
And that's what we've been trying for a while, to get another middle management person in the roofing side and an estimator on the roofing side. But it's, as I say, it's very hard, and it's trying to get the right person, you know. And the same people that try to think the same way as us. Maybe we're just too old now, and we're back in the old days, you know.
I've had to have conversations with both Frank and Alec and say nobody is like you two. There's nobody out there, so you're not going to get another one of you two.
So,
thankfully. Is that somebody you've known for a while?
Yeah, aye. We've known each other for a long time, so and we're very similar to the way we think, you know, and but maybe we've got to change with the times. But it's getting these people in. As I say, construction and the roofing industry is very hard to get the right people in, because, as you know, the last 20, 30 years has been a gulf there of bringing apprentices to making them roofers and tradesmen, to making them being able to then step into the office side of things, to then take that through to who's working beneath them. You know, I wouldn't say beneath them, who they're working with, who they're in charge of. So that's a big thing that we need. I think the whole industry needs to change, you know, to get these people, the kids out of school, into construction.
And did you have any trepidation bringing Alex in, given what happened with the first time round when you had another party, or was it because you'd been through that, you kind of knew?
I think, well, Alec came on as an employee at the beginning, so he came in with us and he worked with us, and it was just a natural progression that we thought, right, okay, you can share some of the burden. And so he came onto the board, and he's now a director as well. I think you knew that he was a different person from who we were with before, so that was instant, wasn't it? You knew that instantly.
And I've known Alex for a long time as well, just been in the roofing industry, you know. He worked for a company that just shut down because the man that owned it was retiring, and then Alex was looking at a couple of companies that were wanting to come and work with them. I was one of them, and they chose us, which we were very happy about, you know.
And how did you manage things like, we had that recent storm in February where all the trees were down, all the roofs were damaged.
Yeah.
When you must have just a crazy amount of work. How do you manage that?
With great difficulty. I just got to, what
just
happens
juggling
first
balls, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. The clients all know that we deal with, they know you can't be there for every single job, for every single slate it's off the roof, for every single bit of felt it's off the roof. They know that it's going to take time, so we'll go out. Some clients want you to go out, make it temporary, watertight, which we do, and then we'll go back with a cost to them for then fixing the roof properly. And they're all very open to know it's not going to happen just overnight. You know?
And the day where we all had to stay at home and we got all the woo sirens and all that, do you go out, or from a health and safety point of view, is that an absolute no?
No, we were in the office first thing in the morning. We sent the guys out to check the scaffolds and everything was all safe. All the sites were all safe, but not going on any roofs. They just, not going on the roof, just come in, because early in the morning it was okay, and then the wind didn't get up to roughly 12 o'clock.
Yeah, that's right.
So we were in the office at 7:30. We told everyone to go to their sites, check all their sites, is all safe at the moment, everything's tied down, and then just go home. And that's what they did.
There's a certain wind speed that they're not actually allowed to.
Yeah, ours is 23 mile an hour.
So it's not actually that.
Well,
23 miles an hour is not that quick if you're driving in your car,
So
but I think
if
if you're not
don't fancy that. In fact, I don't fancy being on earth at all.
So yeah, that's what happened that day, and then the chaos after the storm, because that happened the Friday. So we didn't get a lot of the phone calls until the Monday, until schools were back in, until clients were back in and things like that. You know, we had a couple over the weekend, a couple of private customers and whatever, which I went round myself, had to look at. But on our contract side, on the Monday, it was just phones non-stop, you know, and then we're going round about jobs, everyone is just seeing what's required, seeing what's needed, if the scaffolds are required, and getting things organised from there. So we'd make the buildings safe, make sure the kids could then get into schools and things like that. We made them all safe, and then we'd start the pricing part after that.
probably just getting over doing all the repairs now, aren't they?
There's still stuff getting done in
There's still
some
some
councils,
things.
you know, but it's still ongoing at this minute.
What really strikes me through this conversation is how much you talk about safety and safe
Yeah.
for both the people you employ
Yeah.
and for the customers that you serve.
That's probably more important than actually getting on to the roof and doing the job. You've got to have that correct before you do anything. Because we actually send RAMs, the risk assessments and method statements, over to clients, and they won't. They go through them, they check them, they come back and say, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. So there's a lot of conversations going before you even got
guys
onto the roof.
step on the roof, you know, so that's the main part.
And just before we finish then, where are you taking the business next? What's the plan moving forward?
Plan moving forward is just to keep the clients we've got, keep them happy, and keep delivering the jobs that we're delivering. to a good standard. Most of the stuff that goes out there is all warranty jobs. So get a warranty after it, and that's approved by the manufacturer. So, and keeping in with the manufacturers we do work for as well. So it's mainly driving that part, driving the guys, getting more guys, apprentices, up to the standard that we're looking for, and keep bringing them through as well, because that's what the construction industry and the roofing industry requires. That's what we need as a company, and that's what every other company in Scotland needs, is young people coming out of school, doing their apprenticeship in roofing or whatever, and getting the quality back up, quality of workmanship. And that's what every company in Scotland needs, the UK even. So we want to push that, we want to push our company just to bigger things again, keep
growing,
bringing more clients in, which we're doing at the moment quite well, and hopefully it'll keep going.
Good.
Excellent.
Well, we finish every podcast by asking the same question, which is, what are your guiding principles in business?
Honesty. I think if you're honest with, if it's a problem, just be honest with your client. As Frank touched on it earlier, you forget to send someone somewhere, hold my hands up, my mistake, I'll get it sorted.
And I think people like that in business, if you're honest with them, honest and straight up. And obviously being honest with them is also being honest with the roof. If there's something can't be done with that roof and it is renewed, then we tell them, we're straight up with them, and we'll say, well, this is what needs done for it. And if they say, oh, away you go, then that's fine, get someone else to do it. But then we've had a lot of clients come back to us and says, oh, can you come back and look at this? So obviously the person that's tried to repair it, it's not worked. So we try to be upfront and honest with them on that side and say, no, we'll walk away from it first before we'll take that job on. Because then they'll respect you more if they call you back, you know, because you've told them the truth the first time, and then they'll say, right, okay.
Not try and milk them for
No.
extra cash. Or...
That's a one-time only thing, isn't it? You don't get repeat business if you do that with
We
people.
want to go to a job and fix it first time. If we can't do that, well, we have told you this is what you need to do to it, so we won't come back to it again, you know. Some councils that haven't got the money, yes, they'll try and do this or do that, because budgets are slashed at the moment. So we would try to tell them we'll have reports right after every repair we do, after every job we do, so they've got it there written down in front of them, you know, so they know. We've sent a report after every repair we do, before we even invoice it, you know. So
well, thanks for coming on and telling us your story, your journey so far. We wish you every continued success and look forward to seeing where it takes you.
Thank you very much. I would say it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.